Hey YouTube, this is Zach Garner here. I'm going to discuss some summertime jig things, like fishing jigs in summertime. One of the most important things you want to consider when you're summertime jig fishing are the fish feeding on bluegill and crawfish pattern. So I'm going to show you some jigs right here. We'll have a look at. Alright. Here's my typical summertime jigs. Let me get this right real quick. This is my jigs I use in the summertime. Well, really all year round. Right here, you got just a basic brown color with a zoom U-Vibe speed chunk on it. That's what I like to use. Then you got this green pumpkin brown finesse jig. Really, more of your browns and green pumpkins, that's really going to dictate more of a brown pattern, and your green pumpkins and green pumpkin candies. Now my crawfish pattern that I like to use, always my go-to color is going to be a peanut butter and jelly jig, which basically is kind of got a little blue and purple in the bottom and maybe a little brown, sort of maybe a touch of orange in it somewhere, but that's about, you can always figure out what they want, because when it's falling you got that blue down there. When it's falling you got that brown up there and it looks like a brown, but once it hits the bottom I consider that a crawfish. Now on here I got a Zoom Super Chunk Junior on it, what I like to throw on that. Now my favorite all-time jig for all year round, it always works, any crawfish pattern, any brown pattern. This jig right here is custom made. You can buy it at 72 Marine, one of my sponsors. Thank you for sponsoring me, 72. I just like this brown and orange jig. It crawls through stuff good. It is a football jig, but it does slide through easy. And a lot of times about March, I go in deep brush when everybody's trying to catch pre-spawn fish. I'm going in deep brush, catching big 5-6 pound females. Like, that's the only size I catch, and I catch lots of them because they're stacked up in that deep brush, not quite ready to go into spawn yet. But that's about all you need to know about jig color. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the equipment I use to fish a jig. Let's start off with a reel. I like a fast reel. I got a 7:0 gear ratio 10 KBD bait casting reel. It's 12 ball bearings. I like it. And I use about 14 pound test copolymer. I like P-line. I use anywhere from 12-15 pound test. Copolymer 14 is my favorite. Because you want something you can get that line in fast, and when he hits that jig, he hits it hard. And you got to get something to get that line in quick and crank them out of that heavy cover. Now the rod I like to use is Veritas. A lot of people like to use the Duckets. I got some Duckets. I like them, but I like the Veritas better. The Veritas is cheaper, and personally, when you do the test in the store, the Ducket has more sensitivity, but once you put the reel on the Ducket, the Veritas is the way to go, because when you put that reel on the Veritas, it don't change the sensitivity. You still got everything you got, and it's got more power. Now this is not what I use for flipping heavy grass. We don't really have grass right here. I'm talking about flipping, casting really in deep brush in 20-25 foot of water. I use a medium action rod, 6.5 foot to 6.5 to 7.3 is what I like for jigs. Basically, when it's still cold water temperature's 45, 50 degrees, you just barely want to move that rod. Because you think about the crawfish, when it's cold, they're not moving fast, and that's what you're trying to imitate. Just work it slow. And I'm about to give you a tip, a personal tip that always helps me catch fish on a jig. Whenever you think you're fishing slow enough, fish it even slower. And you're going to find that you catch a lot more fish on a jig, and hope you like it.